Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles DeBanson, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things. And we see them. And today we got a pretty good show for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So, I believe it was the day before yesterday, Lebron made some headlines with some comments that he made about NBA players not playing as many games as players used to in the past. And essentially, the point LeBron was making was that playing 82 games today, it's harder than it was to play 82 games in the 80s and the 90s. When he said that, a lot of people were like, this is insane, right? But, of course, you had some of his supporters that were like, yeah, man, LeBron is making some sense here, So what we want to do is, for those of you who don't remember what he said, I want to play his comments for you originally because it ties into a lot of what's going to be said today. Take a listen to what LeBron said a few days ago.
At some point, like you said, it'd be a conversation that'd be brought up again, and hopefully we can kind of figure it out and get to a better place about it, because the game is different. Like, I want people to understand, and our fans to understand, that playing 82 games in the 80s and 90s is not the same as playing 82 games in the 2020s. It's just not. The way we play, the level of pace, the level of the speed that we're playing at, it's a different game now. It's a totally different game. And, it's a lot of soft tissue injuries that's happened now because of it. I hope we can get a handle on that as well, because that's big in our game. I think when I first came into the league, Reese, like, some of the biggest concerns of injuries was like, a high ankle sprain. You was afraid to step on somebody's ankle because there was 4 or 5 guys sitting in the paint. So, guys with athleticism, myself, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, to name a couple guys, sometimes you're afraid to take off into the lane because there was 4 or 5 guys sitting in the paint. And if you land on somebody's ankle, you get a high ankle sprain, you out 4 to 6 weeks. Now that's not really much of you don't really see that as much now because the game is so spread open, it's so much pace. But now you see the new high ankle sprain is the calf.
Right.
Hopefully we can get a handle on that from a medical standpoint. But it's just the game. I just want the fans to understand that the game is a little different. And, as NBA players, we definitely want to be out there.
Excellent. So you heard his comments there. So after he put out those comments, and this is a thing that I think is important because we have a lot of dweebs in this space. We have a lot of childish people in this space where it's like, if you don't agree with LeBron, you must be some kind of hater, number one. Number two, you didn't play basketball. So how can you possibly qualify to, number one, have an opinion, and two, understand what these guys are saying? And this is usually what people try to throw at fans when they want to talk about the sport that they patronize. They say you don't get it. But what I keep seeing time and time again is that you'll see one NBA player throw out a particular talking point or a particular idea. Then you have fans that will push back on that idea. And then you will also hear other NBA players that played in the same NBA and saying, no, you are wrong for X, Y, and Z reason, which is the same thing that the fans said. And that's exactly what happened here with Paul Pierce, because he was on his podcast with Danny Green and they were reacting to the comments of LeBron James, and Paul Pierce was just like, bro, you sound crazy. You sound crazy, bro. And Paul Pierce pushed back on that notion. But before we even get into what Paul's response was, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports with over 10 million members. Prize Picks makes it easy to get real money action on the sports and players you love. You pick more or less on at least 2 for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. For example, this week I'm really looking forward to some of these upcoming games. This week I'm picking Stephen Curry for more than 29 points. I'm picking Kevin Durant for more than 27 points. I'm picking Giannis Antetokounmpo for more than 12 rebounds. And I'm picking Luka Doncic for more than 8 assists. If you're like me and you like to play it safe, you'll love Prize Picks' new feature, Flex Plays. It's the safest way to play. You can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. Plus, you can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. On top of this, Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money as quick as in 15 minutes. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to play what Paul Pierce had to say here in response to what LeBron said, and then we're going to come back and continue on. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
Okay, yeah, there's more movement, right? Let's just say they're circling. In the 2000, we had to fight through picks.
Yeah.
We had to really fight
It's more physical.
on defense.
It was more physical.
So, like,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
harder to do. If I got to, tonight, I got to get through this Patrick Ewing, Anthony Mason pick and roll all night.
It's not
That's
hard on your
that's
Achilles,
so many
Paul.
times,
Yeah, mentally it
so
is.
many times I'm bruised up
Yeah.
after the game. My shoulder hurts.
It's definitely
my
more
hip
physical.
is hurting.
So why were more guys playing 75 games a year then?
Because we was tougher. Well, now you're switching everything. So you make up for the running you had to do on defense for our era. You take that out of their defensive switching everything now because you had to stay home on everybody in our era. So you did more running on defense
You
than they do
played
now.
more half court set though. I don't disagree. It was definitely a tougher era. It was definitely more physical.
Yeah.
But this era is more miles. They're getting more miles. They're running more marathons, bro. So like that's why the
just think,
tendons.
they
You having a tendon issue.
I do think they just do more.
So it's more up and down. It's
terms
less
of
half court
physical
set.
work.
Back then
So
it's
that
like
makes it harder?
more pinned down. No, I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's harder. I'm just saying
it's
But
hard
that's
on
what
your
that
body.
it's harder for the tendons.
When I'm switching on defense every time down.
But you're not.
Again,
I'm switching
Pete,
on
No,
defense.
you're not. Every
And now
time.
we're
It
watching.
depends on the
Now I'm
matchup.
sitting up here on defense watching the ISO ball.
You're taking it different. Like
No.
I'm not saying it's harder. I'm saying it's harder for your tendons on the body than it is. Like
I think
that
it's harder
that
for
was
our
probably a
bodies.
harder
The defense is
mentally
harder to play.
mentally and physically. I think it was harder than like to actually do it. But
Paul's
like,
saying these guys aren't tough enough to play 75 games. It's
When
like,
we ran through the middle of the paint, you was getting hit. You was gonna get hit.
yeah, you was.
You was gonna get hit way more.
But you was also playing half court set more, so it's more stagnant.
bro,
like I'm
it's
saying.
more getting
way
hit.
more
Pin downs.
stagnant, bro. Way
was-
less
it was-
movement.
So again,
It's more getting
it's,
hit, though.
would you rather get the bruises of muscle bruises or tendon? Like that's the difference.
Why are we getting tendon bruises?
Because
we're
they're
not
running.
conditioned. Because we're not
Maybe so.
practicing every day.
Maybe so.
Maybe.
I agree with that.
Practice
I-
every day, so
I agree with that.
we like you heard the term when you was growing up. Practice how you play. Well, you're playing and not practicing.
And they're going not even
And
at
now
game
you're
speed.
you're
Yeah.
hamstring. Why is there more hamstrings? Because you're not practicing. How
I think
you
it's
play.
just over. I think it's overuse.
Excellent. So you heard what he said. What are my thoughts on what Paul Pierce had to say? Look, I think what Paul said made a lot of sense. I think this NBA, they lost a lot of fans when they tried to act like they were smarter than the general public. They treated fans like they were dumb, and they thought that they could get away with it. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Load management. They said that, load management is because the players are in it, it's important. You remember the whole wave. And then the commissioner, Adam Silver, pushed for it, which is something that I think ended up watering down the product. And I think it ended up hurting the overall interest in it. Yeah, people click and watch on the internet videos and highlights and all of that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, it's a great product. We can all watch something that's bad, and it can be watched a lot of times. That doesn't indicate that it's great. But anyway, fans were complaining, but he was pushing for this. Then he later on found out that it was a pseudoscience, which a lot of people said it was. It makes no sense, right? How can you get better at doing something and build up a callus for doing some physical activity by doing it sporadically? That makes no sense. Even when you apply it in your everyday life, that makes no bloody sense, right? If you go to the gym and you train 1 week, then you don't train another week, and then you train the next week, number one, you're going to see inconsistent results, and it's the quickest way to lead to injuries. And it's hard to maintain your strength and all of that. But if you go consistently, it's obviously you're able to avoid injuries because you're stronger. You're not shocking your body. If you're benching 100 pounds for 1 week, then the next week you take it off, then you come back again. Well, that 100 pounds is not going to feel the same way it felt 2 weeks ago. We all know this. This is pretty rudimentary stuff here, number one. Number two, LeBron was trying to pull the wool over your eyes and act like, no, you guys are not seeing it. It was a more physical game. We all know this. So to suggest a game that's more physical is easier to play than a game that is cardio based, it's insane. It's insane to suggest that, but that's what they did. That's what he did. And then some people tried to back it up. But then you have other fans that said no, and NBA players agree on it. So for the people that say, the fans, you don't play the sport, you don't understand the sport, why is it that when fans put forward their views when they disagree with you, you find other NBA players with similar views as the fans? Explain that to me. Catch you on the next show. I'm out. Peace.